welcome to From Cleaning to Mapping in Tableau Public. We have Dr. Beverly Triana Tremaine with us today, and I will introduce her formally later, but many of you have probably seen Bev present or been involved in some TA or training with her, and we are very lucky to have her here with us today. All right, so on the next slide, Dr. Tremaine, we will go over our acknowledgements. And that is just that the opinions you hear today are not necessarily the opinions of SAMHSA, who is our funder, and our work is supported by grants. This is public information. So on the next slide, we'll talk about our learning objectives. So today we're going to do some data cleaning. So we're going to apply those principles of data cleaning to an exported Excel file. We will also look at explaining the concept of percentiles and data visualization. Dr. Tremaine does a wonderful job of that, so look forward to hearing that. And we will also generate a map using Tableau Public, which is a free software available to you that you can use to create maps for your prevention work. So it's a very useful tool, and glad to be able to share that with you today. And on the next slide, we will introduce our lovely team here. So we have Ms. Wanda Hudson. I almost said Wanda West. She's recently married, so we've got to get used to that.
Yeah.
She is our product development and distance learning coordinator and organizer of all things is what I'd like to say. So we can't function without her for sure. We also have Richard Feinberg here, who is our media specialist. And whenever we have tech questions, Richard is the go-to guy. He figures it out quick and makes us all, take our deep breaths and we can move forward. So Richard, thank you for being here today. I'm Nicole Shaneborn. I'm the evaluator for the South-Southwest PTTC. Good to see you all here today. And we have Ms. Sheila Boswell, our assistant evaluator, who is also here today. And we are here to support Bev, Sheila, and I as you post things in the chat and help with the demonstration. So we also have Pat here today, who has joined us to fill in for Lori, and we're really glad to have Pat here. He will be posting your documents in the chat that you need and some other links. So be looking for those as well. And now, without further ado, we introduce Dr. Bev Tremaine, and she is our epidemiologist for the South-Southwest PTTC. She also has done a lot of evaluation work over the years. She has over 30 years of experience in technical assistance and training, evaluation, research, and quality improvement. She provides that high impact training and technical assistance that we really pride ourselves on here in the South-Southwest PTTC. And she has also published a book recently called Evaluation Time, a practical guide for evaluation. She has her PhD from Texas Women's University. And so without taking away from her presentation too much, there's so much more I could say about her. We are very lucky to have her here today. So Bev, I will turn it over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, for that lovely introduction. So welcome everyone, and thank you to the team who's with me today. We will get started because we have lots to do today. I want to begin first by mentioning the IC and RC Applied Prevention specialist competencies. Much of our presentation today, well, all of it, is focused on these competencies that if you're a preventionist, you will certainly be familiar with. And so I've pulled out the ones that I feel are valuable for what we do in data analysis and epidemiology. So I have them here. They're the tasks that are associated with your prevention competencies. And I won't read all of these, but you'll see the ones that I feel are important, such as data reporting, data literacy, basic terms in epidemiology, and really problem identification is really what we're doing today. Is looking at some data on CDC Wonder and mapping it so that we can communicate that, not only know where the issue topic lies and what it looks like across the nation or a region or a state or even a county, but then communicating that to your partners about the problem. So this is from the ICNRC, and so I welcome you to look again at those and understand competencies and tasks that they're responsible for. I also want to mention the Strategic Prevention Framework, the SPIF steps. So if you see here, we have the step 1 assessment and all the way to step 5 evaluation. And what's important for you to recognize here is that much of what we talk about today is about assessment. That's step 1. And so I want you to understand, though, that, and you probably already know this, that you use data throughout the SPIF. So it's not, you collect data in step 1 assessment and then you're done. You will continually use data and update that data until you get to your interventions. You continue to use data. Step 5 evaluation is all about data. And then, of course, you will continue the whole process again. So it's like a cycle, a cyclical nature, the whole SPIF and data. So there's not really a step that you're not involved in collecting, identifying, using, sharing, disseminating, and then hopefully after some time, the interventions will take effect and you notice differences in the data and you collect it again. So just wanted to make that more clear today. And of course, you have throughout that data use, you have cultural competence and you have to worry about sustainability. And using data is an important part of all of that. So you have 2 ways to participate today. You can just listen to me and watch what's going on, or you can follow along on your computer and do the steps that I've outlined for you in your handout. I went through all of the steps that I have prepared for you today, and they appear in your handout. So after today, if you just want to observe, or if you actually want to participate, I really encourage you to print that handout off or, save it. And, maybe after this afternoon or in a week or whenever is challenge yourself to work through the same steps that we did today. And that way you will commit more of this to memory. So participate to the extent that you want to. It's totally up to you. So our roadmap today, this is what we're really doing. This is the framework that we've set up to lead you through this. We will export data from CDC Wonder into a file, download that file, save that file, and then prepare that file through cleaning procedures. And this involves deleting any unnecessary columns or rows, text. Prepare that file for Tableau Public. The file that we upload into Tableau Public has certain parameters that you must meet before you do that. It would be wonderful if all data files from all organizations were able to be exported in with a cleaned nature, but it's just not that way. So we must clean them. Then we must format them, and that involves sorting your data from, could be low to high, you could be using quartiles. We're going to use the percentiles today. And then assign values, if you wish, a low value, a high value, and such. Then we will map the data into in Tableau. We will upload the Excel file in Tableau. We will select our parameters and certain design features. We'll identify the data story, and then we will show you how you can take your image that you create in Tableau and move it into a report or a PowerPoint. And I've given you instructions for doing that in your handout. We will be mapping, it serves as a backdrop today, COVID-19 data we'll use the files from 2018 to 2021, recognizing that it didn't start till 2019. But we'll be using those CDC parameters today. So let's go ahead and get started on mapping. I think we need to do a poll first. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were going to do it at the beginning, but I think it actually works well here, Bev. So Richard, if you want to bring up the poll.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. So we just wanted to get a heads up before Bev takes you on this journey about how you feel about Excel for data analysis, and then has anyone ever used Tableau Public for data visualization?
Okay, so it looks like everyone is responding, and we have yes and no's. So looks like 85% have used Excel for data visualization analysis. And it looks like about 6 of you have used Tableau Public before. Okay. So that's wonderful that you have it downloaded. That is awesome. So always excited to talk about Tableau. So, okay, so we can end that poll now. I guess we're sharing the results. Great. So there you go. There is our data collection, if you will, from you all, the audience. So let's go ahead and get started. I will exit my screen and let me do this. Okay, let me hold on just a second, and I will bring up the CDC Wonder. So if you're wanting to follow along and actually conduct these activities on your own, we're going to go to wonder.cdc.gov. And so if you haven't been here before, so if you can put in the chat, do you know about CDC Wonder? You probably already do, but if you don't, it's a great site to be able to gather information about deaths. So CDC Wonder is totally dedicated to the deaths in our country. And in a minute, you will see all of the international classification of disease. We call them ICD-10 codes. And I want to speak about that a little bit right now. The ICD-10 codes are the way that we categorize how we die in this country and the deaths and what's responsible for that. So the World Health Organization started that. I could share a whole history of ICD-10 codes, but I won't do that today. But those are codes that allow us to understand with minute detail how mortality occurs. And so the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the underlying cause of death here. Okay. And we're going to just go ahead and click on the 2018 to 2021 underlying cause of death by single race categories. So if you'll just click that. Now, this is an important page. You might be tempted to go ahead and hit I agree, but we have data ethics. That's really important. You may have taken a training in data ethics, and it's really important that we respect the data that we gather or download from CDC Wonder. Those are individuals, those are people who died of a specific condition. And some counties in some conditions will have very, very low cases. Some counties will have very, very high, what you call a high incidence rate or prevalence rate of a certain condition. And what CDC Wonder is concerned about is the very, very low, and they categorize them into unreliable and suppressed values. So they tend to suppress anything less than 10 values in a location, and then unreliable data, anything less than 20. And so it's really important that you know that you don't use the counts of less than 9 in a public presentation. You don't try to find out the identity of the individuals. So confidentiality is very important when you're dealing with data, and I'm sure you know that. So you will click I agree. Okay, take some water here. All right. Okay, so here we have the CDC Wonder control panel. And as you see at the very top, you have underlying cause of death 2018, 2021. And these are deaths occurring through 2021. And I'm going to work through these different sections of our CDC Wonder platform here. What we want to do is focus on right now number 1 section, and all you'll do is click group results by state, because we want to know the values by state. We could just do the whole country and determine the value for the entire country, but we're going to do state. And then in addition, we will group it by county, okay? Because we want that granular level detail that you can find in, probably not granular at the county level. Of course, you could, in some platforms, you can go down to the census tract. And so I want you to also notice when you click on that and by, that you have all of these different variables that you could, and you could learn to do this after this call. You could receive technical assistance from us, and we could help you to understand how you could do different cohorts. We may want to know what the ages are for COVID-19 deaths. We may want to know the gender, the ethnicity and race, the different years, and then we have all these other different available groups of causes of death that we could use. For today, we're only going to do state and county. For today as well, we're going to use deaths, population, and crude rate. We're not going to use age adjusted, because when you do rates across values across counties, you're not able to use that. So they are defaulted, so just leave those alone. Don't click anything else there. And then the additional rate options, it is defaulted to 100,000. If I were to do a region, for example, in my own state, and I wanted to only look at a select group of counties, or maybe the whole state, I might use 10,000. But today we're going to use the rate of a value per 100,000 people. It's important, you may already be familiar with rates, so it's important that we express our values as rates, because then it takes into consideration our population numbers. You may have a city with 50,000 people in it, or a county. You may have a county with 100,000 or a million. And so you have to consider that when you have 500 people die of a condition, that's going to be a different situation for a 50,000 people county versus a 1 million person county. Okay, so let's go on to our next section in CDC Wonder. We have states clicked there. Since we are, if you were to break out the states and you only wanted, for example, to learn about Texas or Louisiana, you would click only those counties, or excuse me, those states, and they would appear over here. But we're going to do a national displayed today. And then the urbanization, 2013 urbanization. If you are familiar with REC codes, that's the rural and urban continuum. The government has divided counties and areas into certain, metro, non-metro, and there's actually 9 different categories. If you want to look those up, the RUC, rural urban continuum codes, and get to know that a little better. That's very helpful in understanding if something is more of a micropolitan issue, a rural issue, or if it's something of a bigger metro area issue. So we're going to leave that as all categories for today. The demographics, all ages, all genders, all origins, all races. We could break out our information by those different indicators, but we won't do that today. We will leave those as defaulted. Now over here, you will see that you have a number 4. You will select your year and your month. Right now, it has all dates, and we could just do that, leave it that way. But if you choose the database in Wonder, where it has like from 1999 all the way to 2020, you may want to only choose 10 years. And so to do that in CDC Wonder, it's a little tricky until you get the habit of doing it, is you want to click off that all and just click your individual. So I'm showing you that just in the event that you want to do this later. And then they all appear over here. Now we're going to, you look at those cumulatively today. We're not going to, for example, do a line chart of 2018 and then 2019 and so on. We're going to do a map where we have all of those together. Okay, so scroll down to number 5. And these, we will stay the same. We're not going to break those out by place of death or weekday or autopsy, but you could in the future if you wish. The cause of death. Now, remember earlier, I mentioned something about International Classification of Disease, and that's the ICD-10 codes. And I encourage you to, if you do heavy work, to really get to know those and understand the different causes of death here and how we code it. And so if you scroll down through here, you will see, infectious diseases, neoplasms, and I want to bring your attention to mental and behavioral disorders. So if you open those up like we will in a second, you will see all of these different subcodes. We call these ICD-10 codes, these major ones, chapters, if you will. And so let's scroll on down to the bottom because that's where we're going to look for our data. So codes for special purposes. You may not have known that we have that because as we saw in 2019, we had COVID appear on the landscape. And so CDC Wonder needed something to be able to identify this. So if you see something that becomes an epidemic or a pandemic or something of concern, then they will create a code for it and then collect that data. And then we're able to map it. So this one is U00 to U99, codes for special purposes. I want you to click on the open fully. Okay, and what will happen is it will pop back up to the top of your CDC window, but then it will come back down to the very bottom. So don't let that confuse you. So here I have opened up the codes for special purposes, and you see here all of the different issues. And so we have vaping related disorder, we have COVID-19. And then one that might also be, when you're in behavioral disorders work, the external causes of morbidity and mortality, that is a very frequently visited site by epidemiologists in our work, dealing with substance misuse and death death by suicide. So if you click on the COVID-19. Okay, that's U07.1. And what we will do there is you want to make sure it appears in your currently selected window over here. So you see that. And then you want to go down to the very bottom here, and you want to export the results. If you don't export the results, the data will appear on a window, and you can just look at the data, and then you can export. But we're just going to go ahead and export here. We don't want to show 0 values, and we don't want to show suppressed values at all. Leave these two drop-down menus the same, and we're going to hit send. Okay. So how are we doing so far? Are we doing okay? Give me a reaction if you're doing well. If you're not, if you have a question, certainly feel free to ask it. Excellent. Thank you, Jesse. You're first. Good job. All right. So let's go ahead and hit send. And it will process the request. Now, you may be tempted to do something with this, but just let it go. And it shouldn't take long. We've downloaded very simple categories today. And then you will see a downloaded file. So click on that downloaded file, or that file that we created in CDC Wonder. And what you'll notice is you will get a very crude, if you will, formatting called a TXT file, or sometimes I think they call it a CSV file. So here you have all of your data. You have all of the states and the counties, and that, you can't use this. You can't upload it into Tableau Public this way. So I'm going to hit File, and I'm going to hit Save As. Okay. I'm just going to go to a place on my computer, just somewhere where you know where to find it later, and just keep the file name right there. See, it's a TXT file, and just hit Save. Okay. All right. Now we're going to leave CDC Wonder, so you don't need that anymore. And we're going to exit out of this TXT file. So I'm going to close out that CDC Wonder. And I have up on my screen right now the instructions. So don't remember that I want you to use those when we're done here, or use them right now. So right now I'm going to open up just a blank Excel file. Okay, just a blank one. Okay, let me get this a little bigger here. There. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to go to that file that I just created, that TXT file. So I'm going to hit File, Open. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go to the place where I saved it. Okay. Right. And here it is. See, it's right. Let's do, and what you need to do is do all files. I'm sorry, I should have said that earlier, but select all files over here. Okay. Because what it wants to do is only show your Excel files. So go down, and today I downloaded that. Here it is right here. This one right here, TXT. So I want you to open that file. Okay. Wait just a second so you need to catch up or digest what I'm saying. So you're opening that TXT file. Now, what will appear now is an import wizard. And you have to do some setup here, because if you notice down here in the preview, it's kind of a jumbled mess there. And we can't accurately analyze that. So I want you to make sure delimited is checked. And what that means is all your data are separated by commas or tabs, and we want them to be in columns, right? So, and we also want our headers to show the top row. So click on My Data Has Headers, and then hit Next. Okay, now, do you notice in Data Preview, it's already doing what we want it to do. Go ahead and leave it as tab. and look at the data preview and then hit next again and look at it. It's go ahead and separating everything. Okay. So
Bev,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. We had a request to just slow down a little bit.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Some people are catching up with their files.
I will do that. No problem at all.
All right.
So let me just backtrack a little bit. So file, and you opened it, and you go to the place where you got that. And so when you have that, and I exited out for shouldn't have done that. Okay, so go to file and open and browse, and then make sure that you click all files, and then go down to your file, and you're going to click that one that's a TXT. And we're opening it up, and we're back here at the import wizard. Okay. And make sure delimited is checked. And my data has headers. Okay.
Yeah. And we're opening this file in Excel. So from
Yeah.
Excel, you're opening the TXT.
Yeah, we're opening it in Excel. And just notice at the very bottom, we can't do anything with that right now. Okay. Is everybody doing well? Okay. And remember, if something happens and this and afterwards, after this presentation, I want to reiterate, you are welcome. We want you to get in contact with us, and I can do this and help you with how to do this again. It's no problem at all. This is one of my favorite things to do, is be able to look at data and remember what you're doing this for is we're using this data to make good change in our communities. So then you hit next. Okay, and we have our data preview. Okay, remember those parameters that we selected in CDC Wonder? They're appearing up here. You hit next again, and it's separating it for us. And then hit finish. Okay. All right, give me a reaction to how you're doing. Okay, thank you, Amy. Excellent. Okay. All right, so now you have an Excel file, but what I want you to remember is that it's still in a different, it's still a different extension. So what we have to do is go to File. As soon as that comes up, what I would suggest doing is go to File and hit Save As. Okay. And over here where you have saved it, click on that, and you can delete that long file name that Wonder has given you and just title it. You can do COVID-19 deaths. Okay. Let me let you catch up there a little bit. It's no problem for me to repeat something if I need to. And then notice at the very bottom, wherever you're saving it, is I want you to click on that drop-down menu when it has tab delimited. We don't want a tab delimited file. We want an Excel workbook. So select Excel workbook. Okay. Now you don't have to name it COVID-19 deaths. You can name it any, what you want to, something appropriate, so you remember, and then select Save. Okay. Now your file still will appear, but now it is a XLSX file or XLX file. It is an Excel file. All right. All right, good. Now let me make this screen just a tad bigger so that you can, there. Okay. Now, what you notice about this file is they're really small columns. So the first thing I want to do is, do you see the lopsided triangle in your upper left Excel? Just click on that. That allows you to block the entire file, okay? And what I want to do is make these just a tad bigger so that I can see all the data. Maybe not quite that big, but enough to where I can see the counties and the values that I've exported here, okay? Now, what I would do, and this is very important, if you remember nothing about this, and this just comes through experience, is click on the name of your tab, your worksheet, and right-click it, okay? And then I want you to rename it. I name it original. You might imagine that as you export data, I'm sure you've done that before, and you're working with your file and all of a sudden you've made a mistake or you've sorted wrong, and you would have to go back to CDC Wonder or your CSV file, TXT file, and create that again. And so what I always do, as soon as I export it, I create an original so that I can always go back to this one and start my data analysis and visualization again, if I need to. So right now we have this original file, but I want to create another one, a duplicate. Okay, so on that same tab that you just worked on, I want you to right click. And your menu comes up and you should have a move or copy. Select that move or copy. Okay, now you have your book name up here, remember? And I want you to move it to the end. And I want you to create a copy. Now these step-by-step instructions are available in that handout. So no worries, you have all of this written down for you in that handout. And you hit OK. Okay, and it will create another tab that we're going to use to work on. So I'm going to rename that one because in Tableau, I'm going to bring up this same file that we're using, and I'm going to bring up this tab. I'm going to pull that over into our analysis window for Tableau. So I'm going to name that COVID-19 deaths. You can pick any name you want. Okay, now it's renamed. So I have a pretty good file here. It's in Excel format. I have my original, I have my COVID-19 deaths. However, what EPIs and evaluators and anyone working with data is our data does not come to us already for Tableau. As I said earlier, we have a few columns to get rid of here. What I want you to do is scroll down. So get your scroll button over here and go all the way to the bottom. Don't go too fast. Okay, do you see as I'm scrolling down, did you see those unreliables there scattered throughout? Okay. Do you see at the very bottom, you have some text, and we don't want to upload this file into Tableau like that. And we'll be able to get rid of that. So I just want to tell you what this is about. These are your parameters that you selected earlier in CDC Wonder. Okay, so it's helpful to know that. So go back up to the top. Give you a second to get there. Now, please note that you're on that second tab. And I want you to delete that A column because we don't need that right now. You have the original, so you can always go back to that if you need to. So block the column, see your arrow, right click, and hit delete. Okay. And you should see the new A column become state. Now I can certainly, if I want to make this pretty this up with bolding it and centering it and making it maybe slightly bigger. You don't have to do that. Now we're going to get rid of some more columns here. The state code, we don't need that. We already have the state, and Tableau will use that the words. Delete. Okay. All right. Now, county code, we do not need that. So delete that. We have the county. We have the deaths and the population, but today we're going to work with crude rates. So go ahead and delete that. You have that in your other tab. Okay. And this is what we call, you can call it cleaning, or it's really formatting, if you will. So we have now 3 columns, right? And we have state, county, and crude rate. And if you notice, they're scattered, or the values are scattered randomly here, but on the A and B column, they're alphabetized, right, by state and then by county. So what we have to do, though, is understand our values from low to high. And what we're going to do first, though, is this B column is problematic. Tableau does not like you to upload data. It doesn't do it for me. With a comma and the state, you can leave the state in there, but it doesn't like the comma in there. So we're going to take the comma and the state out. I'm sorry, you could leave county in there, not state. So block that right there, block that column. Okay, let me get that blocked again. And what I want to do is go to data. We're going to get rid of that comma and everything after it. So go to data up here above your ribbon in Excel. Then do you see the text to column feature? It should be right in the middle of your data ribbon. So click text to columns, okay, and you will have delimited. And this is a preview of your selected data. Okay, you will select next. Okay, and we're not concerned about a tab, we're concerned about a comma. And so deselect tab and select comma. Okay. And do you notice down here, it separates the county from the state abbreviation. Okay. So hit next. Okay. And then I want you to, okay, let me do something first so that it will make it easier. Let me backtrack just a little bit. It'll give me time to go over this again with you just to make sure you understand. What I should have said is let's cut this column. So go back out of that window and hit cut. Okay, let me show you an easier way. What I learned last week is that Excel has a glitch in their text to columns feature. And so we're gonna do a workaround here, and this is easy. I want you to cut that column B and just place it out here in column G. Okay. So now you have state starting with Alabama, you have your crude rate, and then you have your county sitting out here in column F or G, whichever, somewhere out here. Then what I want you to do, let's repeat what we just did earlier. I want you to hit text to columns, doing the same thing that I just showed you. We're just doing it a different way. Delimited. Okay, hit next. Okay, select next again. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, comma is selected. Make sure comma and nothing else is selected, and then hit next. Okay. And you notice that it separates just like where I was earlier, and then I backtracked a little bit. It separates the county and the state. And then what I want you to do is finish. Okay, it'll ask you, there's already data here. Do you want to proceed? Yes, click yes. Okay. We erased our comma, and now we have the state in a separate column, and we can delete that. You do not need it. Okay. Now I want to put my county. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have to do this, but we want to clean up our work here. So block the column where you now have the county. Right click it, cut it or copy it, whichever you want to do, probably cut it, and then go over here to column B, block the crude rate, right click it, and insert cut cells. Okay, let me let you catch up a little bit there. Okay, now remember, we are dealing with deaths here, our crude rate or deaths. Just keep that in mind. Now, what we have here is just three columns. That's all we need to work in Tableau. And what we have to remember, though, is they're scattered and alphabetized. And so we want to understand what we are dealing with here as far as the low and the high. What we're doing today is working with percentiles. And specifically, we're going to categorize all of our values in column C from C2. So do you see C and then 2? That's our first value there. Okay, I want to sort this differently. So what I will do is click on that lopsided triangle again. I need to come up with a different word than lopsided, but it's on its side there. And I want, and it's really important that you do this, is you block the entire sheet. If you were to just block one column and then sort, you would then mess up your assignments for the county and the state. So keep in mind, so you've got it blocked here. Okay. And I want you to go up. You should still have data selected up here above your ribbon. I want you to go to sort and click sort. And then my sort window comes up. Now, for it to recognize my headers, I'm sure you've done this before, so this is an easy one. My data has headers because we want it to recognize these. And then I want to sort by crude rate. Okay. I want you to go from smallest to largest. Okay. And then hit OK. Okay. All right. Is everybody good? Doing well? Thank you, Nicole. Wonderful additions to the. There's
You're
Jessie
welcome.
again. Thank you, Jessie.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we have a little bit more to do here before we go into Tableau. I want to let you know that after today, you may think, if you've not done Tableau or not used Excel frequently for data analysis, and everyone has a first day that they learn something. There was a first day when I first learned to do data analysis in Excel and Tableau, and it took me longer, right? But you will get to the point, if you continue this work and you continue sharing data and creating data to share with people and disseminate and get it out to our partners who need to hear about it. It's almost like a negative relationship. You'll spend a ton of time in the beginning doing all of these little tiny tasks. And then, not even weeks as you continue, you will fly through this so easily. So I want you to remember that. Don't get intimidated or discouraged if you feel like, well, this takes forever. A lot of things when you're first learning them do. But again, you will quickly learn it. So look what happens to our sorting. Remember, we had Alabama up there. Now we have Hawaii, and now we have a different crude rate, and we have a different county. So this is sorted from the lowest value, okay, to, I want you to go all the way down, scroll through the rows, okay, not too fast. And go to the very bottom. We see we have our unreliable sorted now. And now look at your largest county with a COVID-19 crude death rate is South Dakota. Now, if you will, I want you to write down, if you have something to write on or type something, is I want you to remember two columns and rows. I want you to remember C2690. Okay, we have over 3,000 counties. I'm not sure the exact number right now, but I know we have well over 3,000 counties in our country. So I want you to remember that one. Okay, now let's go back up to the top. I just wanted to show you all your data now. And I want you to remember C2. C2 refers to that cell at that intersection. Okay. Now, what I want to do is get rid of these decimals. So I want you to block column C, and I want you to select home again. Okay. And I want you to go to number. Do you see the little drop-down menu there? Click on that where it says Format Cells. And I want you to hit number, select number there, and then I want you to remove those decimal places. And then select OK. Now you're probably wondering, if you are, experienced in Excel, why didn't I just hit this up here? You could if you only have numbers in there, but I have blocked my column here. So just go into that Format Cells window and you can easily remove those. It's just to make it cleaner, that's all. Okay, so now we have them sorted by order from low to high. And remember, we would express this as 8 per 100,000. I could even go up here and I could say crude rate per 100,000. Okay. And delete this. You can do whatever we want to do there. Okay. So now what we want to do is I could pull this into Tableau, but what would happen is it would create a legend, the legend under a map. It would create a legend that is linear, if you will, from 8 to that value that was in C2690. Remember me asking you to remember that? And so we don't want that because that's difficult to understand and communicate. I know I've seen those maps before and they get kind of confusing. So we're going to do a very simple way to create another variable from this column C. And I'm going to call it crude rate percentiles or percentile. So rename the column D. You just click inside D1 and rename, or excuse me, give it a name. You're not renaming it, you're giving it a name. All right, now we have to do a formula first. So I'm going to go out here to column G, make it a little wider. And I want you to double click into G2 or whichever column you want to use. And we're going to do a formula. So let me type it out here for you and then I'll explain it. Equals percentile, parentheses, C2, okay? And notice what happens. It's going to select C2. And as you know, if you're familiar with the formulas in Excel, anytime you use a colon, that indicates that you want that array, the range, if you will, from C2. Now remember the cell that I asked you to keep in your head, it was C2690. And notice what happens. And then hit return. Oh, I'm sorry. We forgot our percentile. So go back to your formula, equals percentile, parentheses, C2, colon, C2690. And all I want you to do is add a comma. And K is the percentile that you want. So you're going to do period 5, like 50%. Okay. And then you hit close parentheses, and now you hit return. Okay, so let me just make sure you're understanding that. So equals percentile is obviously the function. The parenthetical material is C2 all the way to C2690. Means take all those values, and I want you to split them into 50th percentiles, 2 percentiles. Now, for a long time, I was using quartiles, and that would take 4 different formulas. And you can certainly look that up. I believe that I entered that in my instruction handout. I can't be certain. If you come to a point where you want to do quartiles instead, that is, 25%, and all, do 4 different categories, you can certainly do that. This is just easier for today. So go to the, go to column G again, click the down arrow, click number, and I want you to delete, or change the decimal places to 0. Okay. Now we have 75, and you're like, what is that saying? What does that mean? 75 is where our first percentile, the lower percentile ends. Okay, so I'm going to put lower here, lower crude death rate. Okay. In the column preceding the value that you just created. Okay. So that is going to be our lower. Our higher crude rate, okay, is going to be everything else. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to, in this column right here, we're going to type in lower crude rate, crude death rate. And you'll see why I'm doing this when we get into Tableau. I want to categorize these deaths. I want to look at them from low to high. And then, there's all different ways you can slice this data. So don't think this is the only way. So what we have to do, though, is identify all of the lower crude death rates. So now that you've typed that in D2, D2 is a very important column now. As you'll learn in Tableau, I want you to click on D2 and I want you to grab, you may not know you can do this, but if you will just click on the D2 once, you go to that little tiny box in the lower right-hand corner. And I want you to grab that, wait till the little plus sign appears, and then hold your left cursor down. And I just want you to drag all the way to, what is our number? You can put it in the chat so I can remember. All the way to the value of 75. So let's keep going. We're not actually that far from being done. So keep going all the way to 75. When you're dealing with national data, it takes a while. So keep going till you find the value of 75. Keep scrolling. We're almost there. Probably could have gone a little faster. And we are there. So find 75 and then release. And then do you see here it has lower crude death rate? Now, because we have split our values into 50th percentiles, we know that everything else, it would be a higher death rate. Now, there's not much difference here between the higher end of the lower crude death rate. Do you follow me there? The higher end is 75, right? The lower end of the higher death rate is 76. So just making sure you're understanding what I'm talking about there. Those two values are just one off of each other. So, keep that in mind when we're dealing with splitting values into different categories. We could do this differently. We could, look at our data and see where maybe there's really, really high rates and maybe put those into, there's a variety of ways we don't have time to deal with today, but you can determine to split your data. So today we're just going to hit higher death rate, do the same thing again that I just did and that you just did if you're following along. Type in higher crude death rate, and then grab your plus sign at the right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner, and then go all the way down. Your copy here. Okay. And remember the cell we're looking for. We're looking for, what cell is it? We're in the column C and we're looking for 2690. And we're almost there. And there you go. Okay. And we have these unreliable. So let's deal with that real quick. What I want you to do is either type in D2691 unreliable, or you can just drag it over and copy and paste. But however you do it, just in D2691, make sure that unreliable appears. And then do the same thing for the column D, starting at 2691, go to the very bottom of the unreliable values. And that's not going to be too many. All right, and you see here, You should see the unreliable appear. You should see it at Weston County, Wyoming there. It ends there. So let's go all the way back up. We have created a column that is crude rate percentile. And I want to delete all of this. Okay. And what we do know now is, Nicole, if you wouldn't mind putting this in the chat, I know you probably will already, but our lower quartile goes from 8 to, let's see where we find that, to 75. So our lower crude death rate is 8 to 75. Our higher crude death rate range is 76 to, I think it's in the 200s or something, 254 per 100,000 population. Okay. All right, you're very close to being done. So I want you, and I should have told you this sooner, be sure you save. Okay. All right. Now we are done with the Excel. We have what we need now, and we can leave it like it is. Make sure you do that save, and I want you to just, you can minimize it or do whatever you want there. I want you to bring up your Tableau Public now, okay? Remember, we dealt with CDC Wonder, Excel, now we're in Tableau Public. We're very close. So I'm gonna go down to my Tableau Public. I already have it open, and if you've downloaded or have it already there, it looks like little plus signs. So just click on that and open up Tableau Public. Now, Tableau Public is a wonderful community of data viz. They call them data viz. You can get many, many resources. There are videos, all kinds of learning tools that can provide you more information. And I encourage you to do that. And of course, call us if you need us to help you work through this and learn how to do this more. So you can they have a viz of the day, which is kind of cool. Trending vizzes. There's a whole website dedicated to Tableau Public. One thing about Tableau Public you need to remember is that you cannot save to your desktop if you have the free version. If you had the paid version, then you certainly can do that. But you can create dashboards and things like that on Tableau Public. So what we want to do here is we want to open that same Microsoft Excel file. Remember that one that we did? And I want to go to my Dropbox, and that file should be here. Let me see. I want to make sure I grab the right one. And oops. You get so many files going. Okay, this one right here. So grab the file that we just worked in Excel. Okay, grab that file, and so you hit File. You will hit Open. And then you go grab the file where it is. Remember, I just did that. I want to backtrack a little bit to make sure. You click where it is and you find your file and you open. Okay, and it will be imported into Tableau Public. Okay, so this, believe it, 90% of it is getting your file ready. What I want you to do now is, you see up here in Connections, it's got your file there. I want you to select on COVID-19 deaths. You see your original file in here. Okay. And then I want you to drag that over to the little window, and your data will appear down here. I want you to go to the sheet 1. You can rename that if you want. We won't worry about that now. I want you to click on that sheet 1 down there at the very bottom. Okay. Now, I want you to pay attention to your left column. That's where all your variables are. Your middle column is where you set the parameters for your map, and then your map will appear in here. I want you to look at the left column. And what we have to do first is pay attention to detail, and then we're going to worry about color. So these two tabs right here create the map. And there's much more we can learn today, but we're just going to focus on just getting that map created. See state. And I want you to take state, left click on it, and drag it to detail. Okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take county. You notice what's appearing over here is you can see the United States, Alaska, and Hawaii, with Alaska and Hawaii out here and all of the states over here and here. Okay, and put your cursor over them and you can see them. Okay, so now it only knows that we have the states. So now I want to take county and I want to pull that to detail. Now it's changing. Okay. Okay, now I want you to go up. Remember how we had the COVID-19, the rates. We don't want to use that one. We want to use the crude rate percentile because that has the low and the high tags in them. So take that CR percentile, crude rate percentile, left click it and drag it to color. Okay. You'll notice over here, what's appearing is a legend. And we don't have to worry about this right now. You can hide that card, that other card that's up there. It may be up there for you, it may not be. And I want you to drag it, left click it where a big plus sign appears. And I want you to drag that over here to the left. You don't have to, but it's just easier to look at over here. Make that column just a little bit bigger. I want to choose my own colors. Okay, I want to do up here on marks. I want you to select automatic and select map. Up here in the marks card, they call it the marks card, and select map. Notice what happens. Our counties start to fill in and we get a display of different colors. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click that little drop-down menu on CR percentile. I'm going to edit the title. And I could have done this back in Excel, given it a better title, crude rate. Let's put COVID-19 crude death rates per 100,000. Okay, you can make it bigger, you can change the format of it, whatever you want to do there, and hit OK. Select OK. Okay, so that changes my title there. I want to use my own colors. And color is very, very important in map making. We could spend a lot of time on that. My colleague Sheila is very good at that, selecting good colors for maps. So what we want to do now is I want to edit the colors. So click down on your little drop down thing and click edit colors. Okay, you have your 3 categories right here. And you have automatic over here. We don't have to use these. So real quickly here, click on higher crude death rate. So higher crude death rate, I want to choose a color that indicates that we need to pay attention there. So click on the automatic drop-down menu. See all the colors you can use. Go down to red. Click red and you get an array of different reds. Let's just click the darkest one. Okay, don't select OK right now. Click apply. And you'll notice that your Tableau map is changing. Now, click on lower crude death rate. Go back to your palette. This is a palette. Click that down arrow, and I want you to click on the green palette. Okay, you can choose the colors you wish, but you do need to read up if you haven't on color selection for maps. It's very important, not only for people to have accessibility to the map, vision from a vision perspective, but for meaning. Colors have meaning. Hit apply, and then select unreliable, and do your select your down arrow here, and I want you to go to gray and click the one that we don't want too dark. So click maybe the lightest one, second or third. I'll just click the third one, and then select apply. Okay, and you see your map changing. Now we do have some missing there. In most values, most topics, you won't have those missing values there. Some of the data either was not reported or it was did not bring up from CDC Wonder. Now click OK, and you see the United States here. You see if you hold your cursor over the counties, you will see the names of them. Okay. Now, what we want to do now is up here at this arrow, I want you to click that plus sign with arrows on it. That allows you to control and maneuver around. Okay. And here you go. All of that work, and here you have a beautiful map. Sadly, that indicates some, death rates for COVID-19. And so you can explore this deeper after we get off the call. But so that really is our most of our lesson today. What you could do, and these instructions are in your instruction sheet. You could clip this using your snipping tool that you can get free, and I showed you how to do that in your instructions. And then you can go back to or go to a PowerPoint, a Word document, wherever you're doing a report, and put that in there. You want to make sure that you snip your legend, because you want that to appear in your report so that people know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to exit out. I'm going to escape this, and I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here, and hopefully this shows you right now your map. So I just snipped it into this file. You could pull out, and that's another training, but you could pull out certain counties, and I've even done, you've excluded states and just focused on one state, and that's all you see. This is it right here. This is our file that we took from CDC Wonder all the way into Tableau. Now, real quickly, because I know we were short on time here, but I want you in the chat, I want you to tell me, I want you to rate how you felt before this, when you learned that you were going to do data visualization, and then how you feel now. And I want you to put that in the chat. Oh, yes, Nicole has put an excellent resource in the chat. The Do No Harm Guide, that is an excellent guide written by Tableau. So as an example, intimidated excited, or you could have been excited dash more excited, whatever you want to put. Interested, excited. Oh, excellent, Marissa. Excellent. I love it, Elizabeth. Apprehension to optimism. That makes my day. Feel some confidence. Very good. Okay. Not confident to excited. Oh, Casey, very good. Where can you learn more? What I would do is I would go to tableau.com and I would look at their training videos. And I think they either appear on Tableau.com or they are on the YouTube. And there is so much out there on, I would start with Tableau though. There's tons of videos on Tableau on YouTube, but you want someone who really understands it and can teach it in a way that is not confusing. So as always, and we'll talk about this later, you are welcome to contact us. So let's move on so we can make sure that we get through the rest of this information. Okay, so I've shown you how to pull some data from CDC Wonder into Tableau. What is most important, though, is that we understand that people have come before us. I'm always looking at history of a topic. And if you want to know more about this, to search for the history of data visualization, it really goes back thousands of years. But we have a debt to owe one of our pioneers, our lady pioneers here, Ida B. Wells Barnett. She lived from 1862 to 1961. She was a journalist and she was a demographer. She loved to make maps. She loved to get information and put it on a map to communicate information. And the most important thing, I think, that comes out of all of her history is a book that she published back in 1895. And it was the lynchings in the United States from 1892 to 1893, 1894. And what she did, what's really important that we got from her, is that she did this map showing where these were occurring in the country. And of course, she was trying to get social change. She was trying to make change for something that is, that was very, very wrong in our country. And she showed, this is the power of a map here. She showed that 16 states furnished 88% of the lynchings from 1889 to 1921, and that 87% of them were against the Dyer anti-lynching bill. If you read the history, there have been 200 bills in our history brought up for anti-lynching. And it wasn't until, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, that a bill, the Emmett Till, and you can look that name up if you're not familiar with Emmett Till, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, and it passed. So I want you to recognize today that it's easy for data analysts, for epidemiologists to get excited about doing maps, but the most important reason is that dissemination and use in the community, and getting people to understand that we have something we need to act on. Okay, so I have resources here for you. Of course, you have the specialist certification exam. You have the Southwest PTTC Let's Get Credentialed in 2023. I want you to check that out. And then something about certified professionals, hiring prevention. We have our references here. And then I will let Nicole take over from here.
Thanks, Bev. We don't have a lot of time left, and I know some of you had some questions or got stuck. I did post her contact information in here, and we also have a slide coming up that has that on there. If you got stuck and you need extra help, please contact Dr. Tremaine, and we can help you. I don't know that we have a lot of time for questions right now, Bev, so I think we'll just move on. But if you have a question, feel free to post it in the chat and your email, and we can get back to you on that.
Yeah, we're not done, so I am here for you. It's okay. Right. This is just a start.
Yes. So on the next slide.
Okay.
We have our evaluation, and you can use your phone to take a picture of that with the QR code, or we are also posting that in the chat there. Thank you, Pat. Also, when you leave or exit the webinar today, a link will automatically pop up, and that's really important for us to get that feedback from you so we can see how to improve and what you liked about today's presentation. So please fill that out. And on the next slide, just wanted
Okay.
to cover how you can go ahead and get connected with us. And we should have our website, our mailing list, our products and resources there. Dr. Bev Tremaine's contact info is there as well. So please stay connected with us and check out those resources. And I believe we have maybe one more slide.
Yes. Oh, no, we do not.
And that is it. So we'll go back to that previous slide, Bev, so they can have
Yes.
that information there. So if you need more information about today's presentation, you got stuck, you'd like some individualized technical assistance, please contact Dr. Tremaine, and we'd be glad to help you out and get on a Zoom and walk you through anything
Yes.
that was difficult. We'll also be sending out the materials, the recording, all of that in a week following today's presentation. I want to thank Dr. Tremaine for her wonderful walkthrough of all those resources to get to the map, and that can be a really useful tool to draw attention to some of the prevention issues in your areas. So I hope that you found that valuable.